So everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Maddy Martin. I'm the VP of Marketing at Smith.ai, and this is a Smith.ai Master Series class on scaling your revenue by productizing your tech stack. And we've got Sunir Shah here, who's the CEO of AppBind, and he has a really incredible history in his career and I'm sure personal life too, but we'll focus on his career achievements and how they brought him to AppBind today and what that means for scaling and building recurring revenue for leveraging your tech stack as a revenue source. So what does it mean to sort of create a system out of products and as a curated combination of services and tools that you have built to deliver results to your clients? Like, is there another outlet, another opportunity for revenue so that you can sell your work system instead of your work product always? So we will talk about how to package that tech stack and how to sell it as a system to clients for a new stream of scalable recurring revenue. We'll talk through the fear that drives every client to hire an agency, consultant, and other service providers, and then how to sell into that fear, how to identify it and then leverage it. We'll also talk about the simple way to rethink the tech stack that you manage for clients as your own product and why this is so transformational for your business's growth, how to bill and retain clients around this bundled tech stack and achieve a stickier recurring revenue that scales, and then how to unlock a pipeline of clients coming from referrals, such as those that might come from software vendors and others. So before we get into all of those topics, and I'm sure Sunir has more.
That's a lot. What did I promise here? Yeah.
You promised a lot. You better deliver.
Yeah, I got it.
So, make me want to invite you back, Sunir. And let's at least learn a little bit about you before you go into your slide deck, which I've seen your presentations before. You're a master presenter. Tell us a little bit about yourself and about AppBind.
Yeah, so honestly, the problem that we're talking about is the one I've been basically stuck with my whole career, as it turns out. So when I was 18, I'm a software developer by training. This is back in the 42 now, so I'm old. So during the .com boom, remember that? No, back in the days, pets.com. No, so I was a software developer in a Microsoft shop in Ottawa. And, honestly, starting my career, I never thought anything about the business model because clients would call us up and we're like a contractor, right? And just like a general contractor would buy wood, nails, pipes, conduit, whatever to renovate your house. We would buy the computers and networking and Windows licenses and software licenses and build a system, implement it. And then, of course, we would do the training. And then we have a 3-year maintenance contract. And then once you do the maintenance contract, we would just keep selling the next system and the next system. And I thought literally nothing of this because humans have been doing this since the age of the pyramids. And then really, this is how humans work with each other in papyrus, apparently. So then I started off at the start of the marketing team at FreshBooks. Some of you may know them. They're invoicing for service companies. This is 2007. And, I'm a dummy. I didn't really understand what was going on. But I noticed that of like our thousands of customers, were like at the time, something was really weird. Like of those who were living in the digital internet era, the subscription era, their service revenue was shrinking, the client engagements were getting shorter. And I was like, what is going on? That's very strange. I didn't get it. But I moved immediately to partnerships because, when I was on the other side, almost all software is sold through partnerships. Really, it truly is still to this day. Yeah, it really is. But not in SaaS, not in subscription software. And I found out the problem is that the amount of what we're all asking as software companies, we're getting all our service companies to eat a lot of risk to make us money. Hey, you mind taking on some risk for me? I need to make my quota. That's what we're all doing. And what's the risk to the channel partner is like, first the data, like how do I create accounts that I can manage, but the customers have to own their data that they own. That's a really difficult problem. And then the really nightmare, like Freddy Krueger level nightmare problem is getting in between the customer and the recurring payments. Because not only is it a lot of expense tracking every month, and when you sell time for a living, who loves expense tracking? Raise your hand. Like nobody, but it's a lot of time and there could be a lot of errors and you'd be really careful about it. And you're also in the financial risk. You're right in the middle of covering the costs for your client, hoping to get recovered. It's a lot of risk for a service company. And like the alternative is also risk, like a lot of, then we've all gone to referrals where we just hand our clients directly over to the software vendor to work directly, which is strange. And I'll tell you the story when we get into it, but like, it's a really strange experience for clients. They don't like it. And then eventually the vendor, some vendors are get very aggressive about taking the client off your hands. We'll gladly alleviate you of the work of supporting this client by taking them from you. It's like, that's how I was making money. Well, we don't need that. You don't need money. It's fine. And it's like a real problem.
Yeah.
Aligning
sort of those interests is a real problem while alleviating.
And we've talked about it, like obviously Smith does not want to do this, right? We don't want to, you don't want to push risk down onto your partners, but you want to actually create an opportunity for them so that they can build a business based on Smith. And it's not just your product, but it's all the products. Like, what do service companies own anymore? And this has really bothered me.
Mostly, right? The harmony and the inner workings between them in a lot of ways,
Yeah, but that's where, if you do it right, that's where a lot of pain and value can be created, right? Because there's a lot of problems there.
They're intertwined completely.
Yeah. And if you're in the middle of the risk, actually, that's the opportunity if you can figure it out. And so this is where, so I've been on all sides of the table. I've been at, the software company. I've been on the contractor. I've been the client. I've been all these things. And, because I'm not that smart. So it took me only 10, 15 years to figure out the solution. Since working at FreshBooks in 2007, it's a hard problem. And I finally cracked it, I think, with AppBind. And so, we'll get into that. So we've been growing like 16% month over month. This problem is real. A lot of agencies have it. I've talked to hundreds of them, and I've talked to lots of clients. And so I think I have some answers for people who are like, okay, I know this problem is real. I know there's an opportunity here, but I don't know how to get past this risk. I was like, well, if you get past the risk, the more you lean into the risk and own it, the more value you can create for yourself and create that scalable revenue. So, we might as well just get into it, I guess, at this point.
Let's do it. You've got screen sharing power.
I have the power. There's a new He-Man movie on Netflix. It makes me want to say that all the time. All right. Do you see my screen?
Yep.
All right, awesome. And of course, I've lost Zoom because that's how that works. So I did my little intro, as I said. That's my email address if anyone wants it, sunir@appbind.com. Reach out to me. Plus, by the way, fire questions in our Q&A here.
Please, in the chat. I'll keep an eye on it.
All right, awesome. So let me just start by breaking our frame of reference. We're all digital agencies. We live in this world, but we're really contractors. And I think we all have this common experience of working with contractors that we can all touch upon as a source of what is real and not real, and where should we go? And that's working, let's say, with a plumber. Whether it's a plumber or a nail salon or an auto mechanic or a physician, when you go to someone else, a trusted expert to solve a problem, a contract, you're always solving the same problem for yourself. I don't know what I'm doing. I need someone who does know what they're doing to fix it for me. And your plumber will never, ever once send you to the hardware store to buy your own parts. They're not going to send you to get your own solder and flux and gaskets and pipes. What the flux is flux, you're probably going to say. I know the answer, by the way. Don't ask. I'll put in the Q&A if you want to know. You'll never go to the hardware store. They'll just go and get all the parts to build, fix your toilet or build your bathroom, plumbing. They'll just get it all done. You're buying the result from them. And that's what normal people expect from contractors in a normal situation, right? But that's not working anymore on digital products. And this is what we need to fix. So if you're thinking about it, I want to just drive this point home about what is the true fear that clients have that cause them to buy from you, and what are you selling to them? Because if you really lock down on this part here, you're going to come away with a much better understanding of your own business beyond anything else I say. And so I'm leading with it. So what are clients buying from contractors? And plumbers or a nail salon or auto mechanic or a digital marketing agency or a software developer, it's always the same thing. And we're mostly selling, let's face it, to businesses. So I'm going to talk about the business context. The only reason clients have hired a contractor is their organization lacks the capability or capacity to solve some technical challenge of their own. But more interestingly, not only do they not have the technical skills or maybe the staffing to handle it, but their only time they will go outside their organization to hire is when the problem has become so big And so they have so much anxiety and fear and risk around it that they're willing to hire outside their organization, because it's an implicit kind of like stepping on their own staff to say, sorry, you just can't cut it. I need to bring someone else in. It's always a big deal when they go outside the organization to bring another expert in, right? And I think most of us who deal with clients understand like they need an answer, they need a solution now, and they're feeling it, like there's a level of anxiety and risk and fear. And when we say we solve their problems, really, this is what we're playing into, this feeling. And I've talked to a lot of clients when I was consulting. Just before AppBind, I was doing kind of higher level consulting. I was talking to the executives. They can't express their level of anxiety to their staff, but they can express it to you. And if you play into them and say, honestly, I understand you're freaking out about this, but I will solve it for you, you can sell them easily. So like, what are you actually then selling? I mean, yes, you're a trusted expert. Yes, you have some technical talent, whatever. But what clients want fundamentally is to feel like their life or business is back into their own control, and they want to feel calm again. And if you honestly, no matter what you deliver, if they at the end of the project feel like they're back in control of their destiny, they're going to love you, right? And that is fundamental. And again, whether a digital marketing agency getting their revenue under control, or an auto mechanic getting the car back on the road, or even a nail salon who knows how to make your nails nice because you need to get that done, it's always the same. I have a problem. I need to get someone who can bring it under control so that I can feel like this part of my life I can move past.
And that's something that relates to, individual clients as well. For anyone who's in a service-driven business, a law firm certainly knows that, its clients are going to feel calm and relieved after, connecting with, even hiring. The data shows that before you even get back that control, simply the act of engaging that business and the hope of having control relieves a lot of that anxiety.
100%, like 100%, right? So I hope hope if you reflect for a moment on your own client engagements, this story is like something that you recognize, like the feelings that your clients have and what you were really promising them when you're being professional and taking care of them is that I will bring it under control for you. Mm-hmm. But if you're a visual person, like let me just visualize it. This hairball on the left is the inside of your client's mind, and what they're hoping you're going to do is unravel it and bring it in some kind of Zen like simplicity again. Okay, this is fundamentally what the client contractor relationship is. I love this picture, right? But of course, we're talking about digital land, so this is really more specific. Is like the clients look at this mess of technology that's out there, and it's like, okay, it feels like listening to a bad sitcom and a hacker explaining all the protocols they're using when you're talking to them about what you're building for them. It's just so much stuff. That's the hairball that they can't get their head around. What they want to buy from you is really just this repeatable result, up and to the right. Do you have some rocket ship that will just give me up and to the right results? That's all I want. And I don't care what this magical, mystical mess of cloud stuff. Up and to the right. Can you deliver that for me? Yes, absolutely. Right. And if that is your fundamental packaging of the technology, right, is I will just get you this up and to the right. I'll have a rocket ship that will do that. That rocket ship becomes your product, So just to summarize, again, what are you selling? I'm trying to drive it home because this is really, really a key story point here. You're selling your trusted expertise with, in this case, digital marketing technology to deliver a high performance, reliable result. And that is what you're going to package up. I'll tell you how to do that later on. Okay, that make all sense? I hope it does.
Totally.
All right. Story time. Because I was abstract. Let me tell you a real story that happened to me and how I really started to understand what I should be doing with AppBind in general. Let me tell you about the time I got fired, because everyone loves those stories. So just before I was at AppBind, I was consulting. I was at Olark. I was the head of marketing, and I left. I started consulting. I had my third kid, and I wanted to make myself more flexible. So I went back to consulting, and I hadn't been consulting for a while, and had been a long time. And I had this client who was a fashion retailer. He was making clothes. He's building a bricks and mortar store. He was building an e-commerce site, and I was subcontracted by the e-commerce developers to do the analytics. And he was doing all this like all at once, 6 weeks to launch. He was a go-getter. He was like really like in it to win it. It was awesome, awesome. Him and I, really got along. He was a really good entrepreneur. But here's the thing. He was a fashion retailer. I was doing analytics. I needed to sign up for TalkDesk and Branch.io and Amplitude and Stamp Segment, all these technical products. He had no idea what I was talking about because, internet analytics, this is not what someone who makes clothes for a living understands. But did I want to buy any of these subscriptions? Of course not. I had all his data, and they're expensive and they're recurring, and I didn't want to own any of this. And all this fear, this risk of being in the middle of the client subscriptions was getting to me. So every Monday on the sync, I would say, can you sign up for these 6 products? And he'd say, sure, whatever. But of course, it wasn't the priority. He's making clothes in a store. Those are things that are really real to him. And 72 hours from launch, he noticed there was no phone number on the website, which was my responsibility, using TalkDesk to set the phone number up. And he's like, Sunir, why is nothing done? I was like, then I sheepishly said, well, you didn't sign up for anything, so I couldn't do anything. And he was like, go-getter and frustrated. So it's like, okay, just get me enough video call, show me what to do. I'll sign up for everything right now. So with one of his remaining 72 hours, I used up 1 full hour of his 72 remaining hours before launch. Okay, I got him like a child to put in his email address here, password, put your credit card in, click here to invite me. No, click here. No, click there. No, please click there. It was awful. He signed up for 2 subscriptions of the 6 that I needed, and then he just let me have it. And we had a pretty good rapport. So he was like really surprised at how unprofessional this experience was. He said, Sunir, my plumber is not making me buy my own pipes. Where do you think my plumber analogy came from? Yeah, this client. My plumber's not making me buy my own pipes. Remember, he's building a store. He knows what contractors are like. I expect you to take care of this for me. Frankly, I don't understand any of this, what you're making me buy. Working with you is 10 times harder than not working with you. I was like, yeah, get off the call. I went and bought a couple more of the subscriptions I needed so I can deliver. And then I did an all-nighter to get it all set up and integrated before launch. And I delivered to him because I want to get paid. But of course, I was fired. So that was fine. I launched, he got the store up and running. And then a month later, because we did a good report, I asked him, he knew cognitively why I didn't want to buy the subscriptions. And he knew that I was also thinking about this idea of AppBind. It was still in the baby state. And he was willing to, help me out. So I got on a call, and this was the most interesting phone call because it really told me, he gave me really a lot of detail of what clients experience in their own mind. I was experiencing myself as a client, but he confirmed it for me. I failed him. Fundamentally, he was feeling anxiety and risk, and I had increased his anxiety and risk working with me, right? But he was asking me to take care of things, and I didn't. I wasted time. So he said to me, Sunir, honestly, yeah, you slowed the project down and wasted my time figuring this stuff out and wasted everyone else's time on the schedule. But one thing that blew my mind is you have to do an all-nighter, in the last 72 hours. How can you run a business? How can anyone run a business if you can't even plan your own schedule? It's completely blocked waiting for you. Well, again, this is something that you should have taken care of. Right? Why would you have no control of your own schedule? No one can run a business that way. Absolutely correct. And of course, it was harder. It was really confusing. Like all this technology, he didn't even know what it was. And like he said, I was making him go through like little tiny micro steps, that I could have done, like signing up, like putting an email address into it. It doesn't make any sense. Like signing up for stuff is something that I could do. And it's true. I was 10 times harder working with me than not working with me because he could have just done it himself or not done it at all. And he did expect me to take care of it. So it was like way harder for him. I was like, okay, that makes sense. But, not only did I fail him, by failing him, I failed myself. And he was like going through then we flipped the table as if, he's like, if I was you as an entrepreneur, like, here's the problem. Yeah, you couldn't plan your own schedule, right? I didn't get all the subscriptions I needed to deliver like really high performance results. So it wasn't even that impressive, the final results. I ended up having the cost of his subscriptions, on my books. I paid for it, hoping that he'd pay me back. I mean, he was mad at me at this point. So that was pretty high risk, but even if he was happy with me, there would always be some liability on my books for my clients, which can be expensive. And my credit card was stuck in his subscription. So I ended up having to blow my own credit card, like cancel it. So I didn't get recurring charges. So that was a lot of risk. And but also I lost the opportunity. Yes, I was fired, right? Which meant that I didn't have this recurring maintenance contract for running the analytics for him and reporting on it. But really the plan was, he said, Sunir, you're my guy. You're my guy. That's how he described it. You're my guy to take care of this stuff. Yeah, I want to get the analytics. right? And the plan was then I would do the conversion rate optimization next, and then I would do the ads. I keep building one system after another like the old days, but none of that happened. And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, I frustrated you in, but was that why? No, Sunir, it was not why. I'll tell you why. I could not keep working with you because I understand. I understand the subscription thing, but here's what I got. Right from the beginning of the project, you started saying, no, you can't do the work for me. So in my head, I already understood that I'm going to have to staff someone up internally to take this on eventually. I didn't have time before the launch. Now it's after launch. That's going to be my plan. I'm going to have to hire a marketer internally because I can't rely on you as a contractor to just take care of it for me. That means I need my own staff, right? And I can't have two payroll. Doesn't make any sense. So it's better to not just not get into an engagement with you and then hire someone internally to take over. And those were biting words, but I had heard them before, not for myself, but across our clientele at FreshBooks and later at Olark, the Magento agencies. This has been a recurring pattern, and this is why client engagements are shorter than they used to be. I know it's terrifying, but does that make sense to you?
Yeah, definitely makes sense. And it also makes sense that there is also an inflection point where you start to DIY, and you realize that I really do want someone else to do this for me, and some of the risks related to the credit card back and forth decline when it comes to the other risks that are higher with not getting the work done, not achieving your goals. The friction, I think, is the theme here at this point.
Exactly. I mean, fundamentally, great service companies provide great service. Should not increase the risk or pain and suffering for your clients. It should be decreasing always, right? And then they'll love you and keep you around forever. They'll never need to staff up because you're going to be their team, right, to handle it. So what does this mean? Now, I know we're talking about service companies here, but we're talking about technology. They're really together. They're intertwined. This is the 21st century. Service and technology go together. But I want to wrap your head around this idea. And it's not, I wish it was my idea. It is not. It comes from one of our agency customers on AppBind. But you are a technology company too, even if you don't write a single line of code. Because from the customer's point of view, your client's point of view, you're handling all this technical stuff, right? This complexity of technology. As far as they're concerned, that technical need, you are the answer. Whether you wrote it or not, you're the technology. Yeah, and that's an interesting idea. There's this line this agency told me that really drove it home. Is like the problem he felt, agency owner said to me is like, listen, what he was a HubSpot agency, inbound marketing agency. And he felt like really anxious about his own business because he felt he was this is a great line, I'm only selling the sprinkles, but not the donut. I was like, what does that mean? It's like, I'm selling the thing that entices the customer to buy the substantial thing, the donut. I'm the sprinkles, right? I convinced them to get onto HubSpot, but HubSpot is the donut. They're the substantial thing. They're the ones who are getting all the long-term scalable revenue. I'm just the reason they signed up for HubSpot. And then I'm just kind of renting my customers. I don't own anything here. HubSpot is the donut company. They're the ones who are making the real money. I just get to convince the customer to buy it. And it's like, that is interesting. It's like, what do I own? He asked me as an agency, what do I own as a business? I was like, well, you mentioned your tech company. Yeah, I am. Well, shouldn't you own your tech stack? Like, that's something you can own. It's not just HubSpot. There's a million other things going on from the marketing system. And, this really led to like where this presentation ended up. So like just remember this diagram I showed you, that confusion ball of technology, right? That is the how you're solving the problem. What the customer just wants to buy is some rocket ship that gives them the result, right? You can be the donut company if you put together like the whole package of the system, right? And that is transformative way to think about your business. This is all your clients want. Like, can you give me that high performance result? Yeah, but it requires like HubSpot and Facebook ads, and like they don't care. They just want more customers or whatever it is they want.
Well, and also visibility. So I think, bringing this also into the service-based business realm, one of the things with client experience, their clients can have a portal, you've signed up for a CRM or solution, practice management, service, management. where the client can log in themselves and see like the status of the job or the work that's being done. And it oftentimes looks like that left side. I don't know where to go. Where do I get this visibility that you promised me? Why can't I just get an instant update when milestones change or there's a major sort of shift or update to tell me about? Why should I have to have the onus on me? And it's not just like this rocket ship, it's also in the trajectory, it's moving along steadily on pace to get done. So even if you're not an agency, you have a sense of agency around your client experience and what the tools that you're paying for do for them to give them that peace of mind, to reduce frustration and to know that things are moving along at the right pace. Because based on your example, Sunir, you've got an expectation from a client, individual or business, that wants to see that their money is and the time they're investing in you is opportunity cost from going with someone else well spent, right? Like, what is the progress being made here? And don't make it, something where I have to pull your teeth.
That's 100% right. And that's why, you're the technology company. Yeah, they want to report. Maybe they can go into the tool and get the report, but you're the interface to this technical gook, right? That's the service, right? And that's so high value, right? The human touch, because that's honestly, remember, they're freaking out. Like if you're there to really kind of half manage their emotions and half give them the result. That's a big deal. Like that's a lot of money could be made. That's a high value.
And you're the one that owns the checklist too, like to your example, the phone number on the website, the client figuring that out and calling you out on it is not a scenario you want to find yourself in. Like at Smith.ai, we're answering calls. We want to make sure that the client knows you can start forwarding to us instead of like, is it time to forward to Smith.ai or not? Or does my widget work on my website? Am I getting web chats now? Like, you never want to have that uncertainty. You also don't want them to feel like the onus of maintaining and building that checklist is on them.
100%. In fact, your example, your business is a great example of there's this problem in my business and it all goes away when I go to Smith.ai. Who's answering the phone, right? Problem solved. I don't have to think about it anymore, right? And that's a big relief for a lot of business owners. Like, take this whole part of my business off my shoulders, right? Yeah. Okay, so what does this mean for you? Like, it's a really abstract. I want to give you an example of how you can write something out for yourself that will make this real and something that you can sell to clients, right? And this question comes up a lot. I'm surprised, but it makes sense because like we don't think of ourselves as technology companies or building products or packages, right? But you are. I mean, everything you're selling is a product, even if you're selling time. So how do we put it all together? And I think we all know AIDA from Glengarry Glen Ross and landing pages and whatever, intention, interest, desire, action. Those are what drive. That's the most basic principle of driving to a sale. So if we use that outline, that framework to deliver a pitch outline for what you could offer, just putting it together. Remember, I drove that home at the beginning of this presentation. Like, what are you delivering? A high performance result. What is the underlying benefit you're giving people? That yeah, I give you a result, that's great, but why do I care? Well, your business will be back under control and that will calm you down, right? Why you is your technical expertise. Like, you are someone who knows what you're doing, and what are you actually going to deliver? Like, what can I buy right now? Define deliverable. Now, that last one we may have a quibble on, but I find it's easiest to sell defined deliverables to clients because it gives them something to wrap their head around. That's my opinion. There's other ways of packaging up your services, like on a time basis or retainer. But I'm going to go start with the defined deliverable because that's something that at least would make this example work. You can adapt it to yourself. So here's an example, very common one. I'm going to get you scalable revenue from ads for your B2B service company. So whether it's, we're talking about, HVAC or whatever it is, I'm going to get you scalable clientele. And that's something that they want. It's a high performance result. I need to build my business. I need it to scale. I need it to keep going. Okay, I understand how you pitch it. It's like, I'm going to get you scalable revenue for your HVAC service from the internet, running ad campaigns, but we'll take care of it all for you. That's a key line. we'll take care of it all for you, because that's all clients want to hear. I mean, if you're an HVAC business, you probably don't know internet marketing. You don't want to get into it. You just want someone to like make it happen. It's like, yeah, we'll take care of it all for you. We'll get the creative, we'll set up the ad campaigns, we'll track the customer all the way down to conversion to a phone call or demo or whatever you guys are, whatever the fundamental conversion event, so that you have a constant pipeline coming in. We'll take care of it all for you. That means we'll set up Facebook and LinkedIn or Google ads, and we'll set up the whole funnel and the landing pages. We'll get Smith.ai on there to answer, the answer to clients coming in, get them like onboarded onto the funnel. We'll do the analytics, we'll do the tracking, we'll get the whole thing together. Again, here, now you're talking about the technology, not at the beginning of the sale. I think a lot of people start with like the what you're going to do, right? This is confusing for clients. Now it's like the meat of the burger. It's like, yes, they understand there's a lot of technology confusion, but it's wrapped around something like tasty, which is the scalable revenue, and that you're going to take care of it for you. So it doesn't seem terrifying, right? It's like, oh yeah, it is terrifying, but you're going to make it easy, right? You just have a rocket ship, not this crazy technical mess. Okay, great. I know there's a technical mess, but you're giving me a rocket ship. Gotcha. And then the defined deliverable, what is the actual thing they're buying from you, like in a packaged way, because you're packaging your services. So yeah, whatever it is you guys do. So you can have, we'll do an ad audit and deliver you a strategy. And once you agree, we'll set up your campaigns, and then we'll get in the ad managers, and then get the landing page set up, get Smith in there, get the analytics. And so it's reporting on it. And then we'll keep working on this and optimizing it month after month, so that this thing keeps growing. And working with us, we'll take care of it all for you, so that you have a scalable revenue channel. Every month we'll get better, get more and more customers, because we can do it from top to bottom, right? The whole package.
And this works for any, service-based business too. I mean, think about someone who's doing trademark law or estate planning or childcare. You want all of these components, but it sounds a bit different, right? Like, we will take care of your trademark application and the process, and you will have a more secure, high integrity brand and company. As a result, it involves these components, right?
Actually, in law, that's a big thing, is filing fees. So I'm working on a patent right now, and so I have to do the patent fees, right? So they have to pay for it on their credit card, and then they expense me. So the lawyers are actually underwriting their clients to some degree, and there's a bunch of cash tied up. This is any channel where you have underlying components to your offering, that it's not your service but some other thing. You want to be able to wrap up the whole thing as your full package without taking on the risk. And like trademark law is another example. You have to file those trademark filing fees.
Building permits. I mean, think about all of that, like, oh, can you go and get that permit done? Or is it the contractor, the homeowner, or the contractor, right? Like,
that's right.
And plenty of people take it upon themselves because they're like, this is too much friction. I don't need to, have you do that for me with my own check.
100%. Right. And I think we're all used to it. Like a general contractor would get you to put a deposit down, so then go start buying the materials for your,
right.
It's exactly the same thing. So then, the first thing you might object to or start wondering is, how do you, okay, that's a great story. That's the pitch. And you can write that out, for yourself, what my pitch is. How do I organize my business around delivering this result? And I'm going to give you, I think hopefully a relatively simple idea, but it is extremely powerful, that consistently works. I'm going to just share my screen, because now we're just getting into the real gook. So let me just do that. Let me share this tab. All right. So here's a crazy thing. This document, I pulled it from the trade association that Maddy and I both belong to. For SaaS companies, just because it's something neutral. But I had this advice from one of my friends who is a much more effective consultant than I was. He said, Sunir, what you should do is write down everything that you do, like every step of the way, everything in great, enormous, disgusting detail, and build a standard operating procedure. And the reason why you should do this is two things. One, write it as if you're going to get someone else to do this job for you, and you'll never do this again, ever again. You're going to outsource it immediately. Because and second, even if that's not going to happen, because you might not do that up front, 6 months from now, you're going to be that new person because you're not going to remember what happened. And if you want to be able to predict your time to make, because you're selling time fundamentally, however you package it up, you want to know this is going to take 7 hours, and you know exactly how to deliver that high performance, repeatable result every time. Right. Now, let me show you just how disgusting I got. And, Maddy, Evan, we just hired Evan, right, to be the managing director of the trade association. And I showed him this document and his eyes just went wide. It's like, Sunir, is this for real? I was like, yeah, this is how I run this trade association on the side for 10 years is we have endless documents like this. Let me show you how detailed this thing is, right? Everything, where to click, click here.
Yep.
Click here. What email to send, where copying and pasting in a Google Calendar invite. Who doesn't know how to do that? It doesn't matter. When it's 11,
it look like if you've done it successfully. Yeah.
Yeah. Because if I have a VA, he may not know how to do it, right? If I do it at 11:30 p.m. and I'm tired and, I got to do this, I just want to know so I can click, and never think about this again, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the advantage of doing this, right? If you're building, if you're thinking about yourself, there's labor in here and there's different products in here. You're starting to package it together. You're going to know once you do this a couple of times, what you can, by writing this enough, you start knowing what your packages are. Like this is let's just say I was setting up a webinar. Okay. That would be something that I could bill for because I would know exactly how much that would cost, $500, right? To set this whole thing up. Okay. I can produce a webinar for $500 because I know that's exactly how much time it takes. I know exactly, there's a whole bunch of systems involved. I know what I need to set up in advance. If I want to set up a new client, I know that I can scale this. I know that if I sold a lot of these things, I could probably find hire someone to take this over without losing quality and control. This gives me that scalable basis to go. And I think standard operating procedures are pretty common, but they're not necessarily, I've noticed, totally common. So, and people don't know what they look like. They look like this craziness. Literally every click, copy and paste word I use, email, everything is in here, like a crazy person, writing this out because you will go crazy. The more you build your business, there are going to be too many of these things. You write them out. And you could see for the trade association, which is a part-time thing, people ask me how I do it, is that there is an entire folder full of documents. This one is 35 pages long. That's fairly typical. It is madness. It is madness. All right, so that's the first question people ask me. The second question that people object is, I don't want to get stuck in the middle of my client's billing. And that is, of course, the fear that led me to being fired, right? And this is where I end up with AppBind. And I could, I just abandon my deck now because I think the AppBind just tells the story better, and I might as well just show it to you because I'm selfish. But let me walk you through how I ended up with this thing because it actually solves this problem, and nothing else I found could solve this problem. So what was the thing that I was afraid of? I didn't want to get stuck in the middle of the data. I didn't want to get stuck in the middle of the billing. But what is a subscription? The email you use to sign up and the credit card you use to pay for it. And using my own email and credit card was the thing that terrified me. What AppBind is, very simply, is we create a shared virtual email that you can sign up that forwards emails to you so you can manage the account and forwards them to the client so they own it. And a shared virtual credit card that automatically tracks all the charges from the credit card charge, from the subscriptions and expenses to the client. So you're never in the middle. And it's very, very simple. And from the jump, it also gives your clients a single place to see everything that belongs to them and have control and ownership. So let me just go through it. I mean, so here I'm a marketing agency in this case, and I have, a food truck business, the banana stand company, here, and they want me to solve the internet, get customers off the internet. Now, if I did what I did to my fashion retailer customer and get them to start signing up for stuff like websites and domains and SSL certs and hosting and A/B split testing and retargeting and ad manager and email capture and like their minds will explode. Like if they knew how to do this, they would have done it. That's why they came to me. So instead, remember what we're trying to do. I'll take care of it for you. I can say that to them like a proper contractor. Yeah, absolutely. I'll get it. I'll take care of it for you. I'll get your website and social media and ads and email and landing pages all set up and running. I'll get it integrated, get your campaigns rolling because it's your business and your data. I'm going to use the subscription manager. So everything's organized in one place and you'll own and control everything that I build for you. And the client's only going to hear one word. You're going to take care of it for me? Yeah, absolutely. Of course. It's like, when do I get started? That's what they universally say. Because that's what they want. They need to get going, right? It's like, no problem. So I invite you in. I'll show you actually how this really works, but I'll invite you in. The client puts in their bank account or credit card, and then you're free to set up their entire system. And remember, this is the magic. You're a technology company too. You're building a complete system for them. In this case, my marketing agency, if you're a law firm, it's going to be filings and document shares or whatever it is, but we're all using technology, right? But now you're building a system for them that you can manage for them. And this is where you really leverage yourself into a much bigger thing than the sprinkles. You're selling the donut now, right? That's the key. So let me give you an example. Here's ActiveCampaign. If you know it, it's an email marketing automation tool, very popular. It does have a partner portal for marketing agencies. They recommend AppBind because this problem is unsolvable from their software side. Only you need your own tool to solve this problem. And there's 3 problems why. Number 1, like I said, what email do you use to sign up with? I mean, you can ask the food truck business, like the banana stand, for an email that you can use, that they control. But they may not be able to do that. Maybe they're using, an @Gmail address. They can't create your email address, or it's takes too long. Again, you've lost control of your time. If you use your own email address, many of us do that, then you're stuck in their subscription, right? They may leave you. Clients come and go, but then the data retention, this is all their clients' emails and phone numbers and everything. You'll have 7 years to report on this thing. If your email is in here, you don't want that. And a lot of us use the plus hack for Gmail. Again, you're going to be stuck in the subscription. You don't want that. So instead, we create the shared email address. You sign up with this, instantly create it. You sign up, forwards all the sign up emails, invoices, alerts, whatever. You can manage the account going forward, and it forwards it to the client so they own and control it from the beginning. So they always have ownership. Actually, one little thing we do that's nice is that they don't actually get the emails from the beginning, because you want to deliver them professionally a completely set up account before you turn on the emails. So once you give them the account, you turn it on. Once it's all set up, give it to them. It's like, oh, wow, this is already working. Yeah, because that's all they want to see. Is it working or not? That's all they want to hear. They don't want to see you build it, right? And that's a little bit of magic. That makes it a little bit nicer. You can also use this as a password manager if you like. Or you can use LastPass as well. It doesn't really matter. But a lot of clients don't have LastPass, so you can store the passwords in AppBind as well securely. Okay, if you don't want to use your email, you of course never want to use your own credit card in a client subscription, never once, right? Because then you're really stuck. So we create this virtual credit card. It's a credit card. You use that to purchase using the normal credit card capture, at ActiveCampaign or Smith.ai, whatever you want to buy. And the great thing about AppBind is then we can track all the charges automatically. You don't have to do any expense tracking. If each credit card's for each client, organized by client. And this is variable cost. Every month the price will change. You don't have to worry about it. It's just set and forget, right? And what are the business models? This is a common thing people ask me. I'll show you a few of them. How do I charge my clients for this? Well, honestly, that's really between you and your clients. There are a bunch of options, but I'll give you the most popular ones. So commonly for performance marketing agencies, they'll put a markup, 25 points in this case, on top of the email marketing system. That's common. Normally it's 10 to 20% in AppBind land for just overhead. That's very, very common. It's a 10 to 20% markup. You shouldn't feel bad about that. That's because you're basically handling bookkeeping for them. Clients don't really care. It's no big deal. If you do care though, you could just pass it through at cost like this, no problem. It just expenses through to the customer. This is not part of your service offering. You make money on services. Another option that's very popular is a lot of SaaS companies have partner programs, and this is really important. You should always use them if you can, not because it gives you commission, although that's a good reason to do it, I guess, because you can actually build a lot of your own income as an owner with the referral fees, but because it tells the software vendors that you are working with clients. And as Maddy and I know, most of us have no idea which agencies or service companies are working with us as partners. None. And then when we have a client opportunity and we need to refer it to a solution partner, it's these programs that we use, right? And this is how you start building a relationship with a vendor. I have 1 client, 2 clients, 3 clients, 4 clients. You start getting to be known by them as the go-to company. They will start, when they have opportunities, they'll come to you, whether it's a marketing opportunity or a direct client referral. These are the programs they use. And I know no one likes using referral links with clients because they're so chintzy. It's like, hey, can you go down, and to the hardware store? It's your plumber. Can you buy the pipes? But can you take my ID because they give me a kickback? I'm a little bit short. I want to take my husband out for dinner. I'm a little bit short this week. Like, no, you do that. Like, that's a bad plumber. So no, but now you're signing up yourself. You can use your own referral links. Never puts it in front of a client. It's no big deal. But if you're using this and you don't like the commissions, because you feel like you're selling a client. Some people don't. It's fine. I personally think it's fine. Clients don't care. But if you do, you can split the commissions with the client or pass them on. Again, set and forget. Set the discount here in AppBind, but here the discount comes from you, not the software vendor. So I'm a preferred partner of Smith.ai or Active Campaign. I get it. Buy from me, I get you a better price. As long as the client works with you, they get the discount. As soon as they leave you, they lose the discount, right? And that it's a little bit of extra stickiness from you. And finally, you can also put it on your retainer, which is common. Like, so you have, like, say, you're doing a $5,000 a month marketing retainer, then you might include some products with that. You still want to use AppBind because you want to organize your subscriptions per customer, and then you end up with the last problem. It's like, what happens at the end of the project? Remember, clients are freaking out all the time. They freak out the most at the end that you're going to hold their data hostage. But projects come and go. Referrals are forever, so you want to offboard them professionally. It's like, it was great working with you, Mr. Food Truck. Sorry to see you go. Like I said, everything here belongs to you. Like, sorry, everything belongs to me. Oh yeah, of course. Click, here you go, done. And then under your breath, if you're paying for it, it's like, get off my credit card as fast as humanly possible. Goodbye. And I have other clients I need to work with that are not leaving me, so I'd like to end this. I don't want to spend a day doing your billing. So click and gone, right? And so it gives you control that you're not in the middle of their future subscription costs, and it gives them the peace of mind that they have everything. And of course they'll love you for that, because that's like, the moment you exceed expectations, they're going to love you, and the referrals will come in. And that's a really important part of growing any business, is making your clients, even when they leave you, happy, and click and gone. And all we do is we take that email and credit card and take it from your control, give it to the customer in their control, and you're done, you're out, and they can take over very easily. I'll tell you one more thing before I stop with this. This is a very new shiny thing. Is the final business model is very common, is instead of charging per subscription, you really want to actually set up a project budget for the client for the entire system, some recurring ongoing retainer. There's different ways of doing this. Right now in AppBind, I'll show you what we're doing right now, and I'll talk to you about a couple other models as well. So here we have these project budgets you set up initially, like upfront with the client. So I'm going to set up a bunch of subscriptions. It's going to cost you, roughly, $1,200 a month for everything. And it's just like, you've ever been to Starbucks or been on a Subway with a tap card, just like it's a top up balance. So they control the amount of cash sitting here in this fund, and you're never actually expensing without having money from the client. So when it below, ask for $1,200 to get going. And once it goes below $300, it just re-ups it to $600. There's always money sitting there for recurring charges. And then you can also set controls, like the monthly spending limits. So you never like overspend and lose control of your subscription spending without getting an alert. So you can take action and control the maximum charges. So if you're doing a lot of ads, this gives you, some control, because you may set it in Facebook Ad Manager, but it's good to have a backstop. Also, you want to have two stops to make sure that you don't get overcharged by one of the tools, which can happen. So this gives you some control, so you can take intervention and figure out what went wrong, or you have to go to the client and let them know that there's a change. So remember, never want to increase risk for your client. This gives you some control of the project spending, right? And I'll show you what this looks like for the clients. When you send them the project budget to be approved, we make a nice little summary of all the things you want to buy, whatever you're charging, plus the budget, and then sends it to them for approval. And then, they can approve it, and then they can have their own AppBind account where they can see all their subscriptions. And if you have set passwords in there, they can see all in one place. And this for them makes them feel like they're buying a complete system from you without, like, there's a bunch, like, if you get a quote from an auto mechanic, they give there's a bunch of parts on there. You have no idea what they are. They're going to fix your car. That's what you're getting. You're going to fix their marketing in this case. There's a bunch of parts. For them, it's easy to wrap their head around the whole project at once from you, rather than each individual thing. You want them to individually go talk to sales or sign up for it. It's like their minds will explode. Here, you're just sending them the whole thing at once. So it's easier for them to digest. And, they have some reasonable numbers here, so they know exactly what's at risk. They'll feel like things are under control. right, from the beginning, and they can trust you. And so you can do this. One other things people ask us, are we going to add service billing? So you can put your own service retainers in here. Yes, certainly can do that. So if it's $5,000 a month and this is just expenses, certainly can do that. We haven't done that yet, but you can certainly imagine that's a model that makes sense. Very commonly, though, if you have expenses that are like ads that change all the time, you would want to separate your tech expense budget from your service fees as well. Or if your service fees vary because you're doing project billing or time billing, you might want to do two separate kinds of budgets, retainers. But those are the most common things people are doing, is either combining it because it's all fixed rate and you know exactly what's happening, or you just keep them separated because these things may vary independently of each other. But it's easy for the client to understand. These are the expenses that have nothing to do with you. Like you're making money, you're not making, you know, it's not your labor. This is the expenses, and then your services are somewhere else. So people like that as well. All right. So I think I answered all the questions that I promised to answer.
Yeah, I mean, Sunir, that was really fantastic. And I love seeing inside that product as you're developing it more. One of the questions that sort of comes to mind here is also, as you're thinking about your tech stack, there's clearly best practices around what solutions work well together and how can your expertise sort of contribute more value there. For example, you know, you've got, let's say, Office 365, or you have Webflow versus WordPress, and there are certain plugins that you might need to pay for. There's Yoast, or there's, CallRail or call tracking metrics. There's other different things that, play better with some software than others. How do you sort of create not only a stack that is harmonious and prevent maybe through AppBind people from putting together packages that might not serve with the best harmony, and then as a marketing or merchandising tool, saying there might be optional things. How do we as, service-based businesses think about what you would recommend based on what other people are doing, or based on this tech stack? You may also want these add-on services that you haven't elected for that are optional, but that we would recommend.
Okay, let's do the second one first, because that's actually a really important thing. So what I found, there are really there's lots of different options in agency land. So but the big ones are, I'm an agency and I'm going to sell you, this is the email package, this is the social media package, and it's just kind of defined because they've defined their standard operating procedures, and they have like other people for lower billable rates, they're implementing it, and this is what you're getting, the end. Mm-hmm. But what they've done is that they're selling one system that gets into the next system, which gets into the next system, which is how I started my career. When in licensed software, we'd sell in the first system and the next system, the next system. And my plan was, we're a fashion retailer. That is a very sensible path, right? So, you start building the basics, ads, then conversion rate optimization, then sales funnel, whatever, okay? Do that. The second thing that I've noticed people on AppBind doing is, with AppBind, you kind of get permission to keep growing as you need, because you're talking to the client all the time. So as they're coming with problems, we're just customers too. You can Google around, look for the solution like anybody else, right? And so people just add stuff, random, any tool. There's always a tool to solve a problem. So whether you're adding, I can use Cognito Forms or Jotform or whatever to add to this. I bought TubeBuddy because I was doing YouTube management. I've never even heard of TubeBuddy before as a Chrome extension. Can you imagine getting a customer to buy me a Chrome extension? Mindless, right? So, but I went and bought it. I just didn't ask. I just went and bought it and added my YouTube management as part of my service. So that's another option, is you just have permission because you have, the client is saying, you're my gal, you just take care of it for me. Yep, I'll find the right tools and I'll start implementing it. But then you have the ability to leverage technology, right, to expand. And this has actually been one of the constraints, is like, I only do HubSpot and Facebook ads, has been what a lot of people say. And you're constrained. You can't use all the software out there because you don't even know how to bring it into your service. Now, if you can get the client to fund it, but give you permission to manage it and take care of them for them, right, then you can bring a lot more in, and then you can expand your services that way. And that may just fit. And that really comes down to your personal style as an agency, like whether you like just working as it goes with the client or having more defined procedures. Those are two very common things. And I guess it depends on your personality, what you prefer. And then how do you decide what technology to use? Well, there's a couple of things. There's actually this Agency Connect interview series that I have at the cloudsoftwareassociation.com blog, where I'm interviewing agencies about the best and worst practices they have. It's pretty interesting, but it's pretty straightforward. You're dealing with risk. You're taking risk out for the client. You want a vendor who understands that and is taking risk out for you. You don't want a vendor who's pushing risk onto you. A lot of vendors can you take on a lot of risk because to make me money is they're not a partner, right? They're abusing you. You want someone who understands that you're the one in front of the customer. They're supporting your sale, right? And so you're looking for a few things. One, are they a trustworthy brand, or the product is the product usable and workable, that you've tried it and it seems to be fine, that you can trust it, right? Are there people there who will support you when you need, support you, not to the customer? They'll talk to you on behalf of the customer so that you look good to your customer. If they do have a partner program, will they give you training? Will they give you free accounts? These kind of things, so that you can explore it on your own time. Are there other agencies or similar companies to you who are also using that product that you can see they're building businesses based on it? Are they responsive, the company, to you, either on a support or partner team basis? Will they end run you? Will they talk to your clients without you? That's a big no. There's a lot of companies like that, and you should really let them have it, because that's totally inappropriate. If you're managing the client is never happy when the vendor talks to them if they don't expect, who's this? I can tell you stories. Lots of stories. Yeah. Love triangle. So but you're basically looking for someone who has your back, right? And that's and can I trust this product? Can I wrap my head around it? That's it. Really, it's not, you're not necessarily starting to want to get married off the jump with a vendor. You just want to know if you can bring this into a client engagement and use it. Can I just use it? If it's a big deal, then honestly, as everyone knows, you're not going to do it for the current client. You're going to think about it and then learn about it on your some time, and then maybe in a future client you're going to do it. It drives SaaS software companies insane.
Everything's been pre-vetted, basically, that you're going to, do through here, unless maybe the client has some discretion that they make a special request. Yeah,
there's some clients who are propeller beanies, they're really excited to try all the new things. I'm looking at you, L'Oreal, who buys everything, and John Deere. Well, those companies buy everything. They're great. I love those clients. Everyone loves those clients because those companies just literally will experiment. There are some companies like that. They're 4%.
Businesses and other, even mid-sized businesses are careful, right? Or they want the.
You don't need so much money, right?
Right.
Yeah. So only 4% of people are super excited to try random new things, and their patience will run thin once it fails, right?
Even if they are excited, only 1% of those 4% actually have time to pursue that passion out there, right? It's. Sure, you might be passionate, and so are you and I, but do we have time to devote to every little experimentation? I certainly don't, not to the extent that I want to.
And you probably wouldn't go through a contractor. If you're like that, you want to do it with your own hands anyway, right? Tinkers. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So, the question is, can I trust this company? And it doesn't have to be it's not a heavy question. It's okay, people use this. It's a reputable brand. They seem to be in business. I can understand how the product works. I emailed them. They seem to get back to me. I can wrap my head around how to use it. Okay, I'm confident I can bring this into a client, at least for this limited scope, right? And if they want sales to talk to the client, that's immediate no. Sorry, stop that, please. Sales talks to me, because you need to control that conversation, unless you want the client to talk to sales, which is always, you get 2 cracks at that in any client engagement before you get fired, 2. Yeah, because the client's again, problems they only had because they're working with you. I have to talk to the salesperson. I wasn't planning to do that. I don't want to think about this problem. They do get mad. You need to be careful about bringing in sales that you don't understand what exactly is it being, a 1-call sale. It's fine. A 20-call sale, sometimes, no.
Well, then what's the relationship, that develops there, the strategy, if there's 20, calls happening. There's a lot more being discussed than just feature set. And
clients just want to, if you bring a client in, they want to know this is a process that makes sense. This is part of predictable. You know exactly what's happening. I'm answering these questions
into our game plan for that results trajectory. That's the most important thing to
this is part of your process to have this salesperson come in for this call. We're going to get the answers. We're going to present something to you. You agree, and then we sign off. But you have to be in control from the client's point of view. If it looks like you're out of control, then they start freaking out. It's like, oh God, the person who's taking care of it for me is out of control. And that's why you have to coordinate. If you're going to bring sales in from a vendor, you're going to make sure they coordinate with you. Like, this is the plan. Tell me what's happening. We're going to make it so that it's 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3 will happen in that order.
Well,
Yeah.
I will say, one of the ways to demonstrate, control and setting expectations and also boundaries is in your client agreement, to be including things like AppBind, and this is how we handle subscriptions, and this is the expectation. This is just how we work in standard, protocol, so that there's no confusion going in. And that's an area where they feel really comfortable, like you have it really down pat. And it's an area of professionalism that I think is often overlooked, like making sure that that tech stack is really embedded into your client experience and that delivery promise. So we do have to wrap. We're at an hour, but Sunir, the time flies with you as always. Thank you so much. How can people reach you, and what would be the next step to learn more about AppBind?
So AppBind, APP, as in banana, IND.com. You go there, it's free to sign up and you start kicking the tires. I'm Sunir, SUN with it as in November, IR at appbind.com. I think this will be in the notes, but Sunir at appbind.com. Reach me anytime. You can email me from the website. I'll respond to the emails there as well. I'm happy to talk about AppBind, also just generally like this problem of how do I get my agency to the next level. I mean, it wasn't just AppBind we're working on. It's like I was at FreshBooks, tens of thousands of companies, in my years there. Lots of answers that I stuck somewhere in my head. Happy to talk to you about it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I hope, everyone who's watching this will take advantage of your time and your generous offer to speak with them. As always, it's been a pleasure, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks, Sunir.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.